Good morning, drawing students. Today we're going to do some blind contour drawings, or a blind contour drawing. These are some ones I've done before. What I want to do really is just give you a demonstration so that you can actually see the process, because watching the process itself is much more important than listening to what I say. It's just good to see the actual way that we do this. So if you look at this drawing, I'll hold it up. It's not the greatest drawing in the world. This is what you want your drawing to look like. Mine are very large. This is what you don't want your drawing to look like, but I'll talk about that in a moment. So we're going to begin today with blind contour, which is a really difficult technique to do. It's very hard. I always start with the hardest technique. I'm not sure why, but I do. That's how it works out. You should label this somewhere. You don't need to label it at the very top. You don't need to make it really big, but you do need to label it so that you can remember. Sometimes your blind contours and your continuous lines look a lot alike. You want to use your Sharpies for this. I'm using the fine Sharpie. You can also use the ultra fine Sharpie. I would do some with both. I'm going to start, so just kind of watch what I do, and then we'll talk a little bit about halfway through it. With blind contour, remember we're following a contour on the subject that we're drawing, and we're doing it so that our eye and the pen move simultaneously. It's a very demanding technique. And it's a technique where you're going to make all kinds of mistakes. You're going to get to watch me make all kinds of mistakes. But the mistakes don't matter, because what we're doing here is we're trying to build eye-hand coordination, trying to build skill. So notice I'm drawing one line at a time, which is a really difficult way to draw a face. But by doing this, I can build my eye-hand coordination. You want to draw very slowly. I tend to do these a little faster than I should. So at home, you want to make these really slow lines. Now notice I can look at the paper to set my pen, but I can't look at the paper while I'm drawing. And that, you can see I made a big mistake there with the eye. I'm not concerned about that. It just means I had a little trouble focusing. You don't want to make contours too long. You want to make them nice, short lines. Start with that. And you'll notice that I'm drawing on the inside of the face. I don't want to try to draw those big outlines, those big contours on the outline, or on the outside, because those will always get you into trouble. So what you're going to do is you're going to slowly build this face up, piece by piece. And yeah, this is kind of a terrible way to draw a face because the parts don't match up. There's oftentimes instances where you kind of lose concentration a little bit. But in a drawing like this, it's the act that's more important than the actual drawing, because you're building that eye-hand coordination by working this way. Now, I really want to avoid those long contours. Those do nothing but get you into trouble. They're really hard to draw. They don't tend to match up. So I'm going to look at these shadows that are on his face, and I'm going to build it up that way, and just avoid those outlines. Sometimes our brains, which really seek order, will want something finished. You know, they'll want that line to be finished up and then closed. We don't need to do that, and you guys need to get out of the habit of doing that, because people will understand what you're drawing, even if you don't complete the drawing. You can do a few lines, and our brain will fill in the rest. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, so that's a fairly typical blind contour drawing. I did one a few minutes earlier. When you look at these, you can see that with both of them, alignment is a problem. My eyes aren't straight. Scale is a problem. My eyes are not the same size. All kinds of things like that happen. And you might ask yourself, well, why are you doing it? Well, what I have is really good descriptive line. And it's not conceptual line. So the things that you don't want to see in a blind contour is you don't want to see an eye that looks like this. What I call the dreaded football eye. If you're drawing that eye, that's a conceptualized eye. That's more about what your brain says an eye should look like and less about what you're actually looking at. So that's what you don't want to do. The other thing with blind contour is don't correct things. If you draw that eye and you come down and you decide that's not right, don't come back and redraw it. Okay, we don't want to see that. You just draw the line and then you move on. It's kind of like learning how to play the piano and playing scales on a piano. If you make a mistake in a scale, you don't stop playing the piano and run into the other room. You just continue to play. With this, you just continue to draw. So don't worry about correcting the lines. Also, when you make a line, make sure it's a smooth line. It should represent your eye following that path. So I don't want to see, sometimes people have these little self-correcting lines. So it'll be like this little kind of scratchy, inchy line. And those lines are adorable, but they're not blind contour. They make kind of fun drawings, but this is not their place. And then also, all these lines should be slow, methodical lines. So don't worry about filling things in. Don't worry about drawing eyelashes, things like that. None of those are blind contour. Your drawing should look like this. Mine are really big, but they should be line drawings that start in the center of the face, slowly work out. They don't worry about closing in and drawing long contours. That's not important. But they try to go very slowly and capture the quality of that person's face. Unfortunately, we're drawing the model, because I couldn't find a model with COVID-19. But you can see from my drawings, they're not great. They're not the greatest drawings in the world, but they're helping me build skills. And they tend to look like the person that you're drawing. So, go slow. Eyes and your pen move simultaneously, almost like you're touching the actual model with your pen. I like to start with the big thick marker, but also try the ultrafine markers. These are Sharpie Fines, and the other one that I recommend you use is the ultrafine. Okay, that's it for blind contour.